Imagine you are standing on the moon. Everything around you is grey. The dust is grey. The rocks are grey. The sky above is a deep, endless black. This was the world that Apollo 17 astronaut Harrison Schmitt saw in 1972. He was a geologist, a scientist of rocks, and the only one to walk on the lunar surface. As he explored the Taurus Littrow Valley, his eyes caught something unexpected. It was a patch of orange soil, a surprising splash of color in this monochrome landscape. This was not something anyone had planned to find. It was a moment of pure discovery, a cosmic surprise waiting for us. What could this strange orange material be? At first, the astronauts wondered if it was rust, a sign of water reacting with iron. But the moon is an incredibly dry place, so that idea didn't seem right. When they looked closer, they saw that the orange color came from incredibly tiny beads of glass. These beads were smaller than a grain of sand, almost like a fine powder. They were so small and so numerous that together they looked like a patch of orange dust. It was a beautiful and mysterious finding, a puzzle sent to us from the moon's deep past, waiting for human curiosity to unlock its secrets. The discovery was incredibly exciting for everyone back on Earth. Scientists had a new mystery to solve. These were not just any rocks, they were something special. The astronauts carefully collected samples of this orange soil, scooping it into special bags. They knew these tiny glass spheres held a story. This was more than just a colorful curiosity. It was a clue that would help us understand the history of our closest celestial neighbor. The journey of these little beads, from the moon's surface to laboratories on Earth, was about to begin, promising new insights into a world we thought we knew. These samples traveled across the vastness of space, back to our blue planet. Here, scientists could use powerful microscopes to study them in great detail. The beads were mostly spherical, like tiny, perfect marbles of volcanic glass. Their vibrant orange and red colors came from the elements trapped inside them, mostly titanium and iron. The universe often paints with a palette of elements, and this was a spectacular example. These tiny specks of color were not just pretty, they were a direct message from the moon's ancient fiery heart, a message that would rewrite our understanding of lunar history forever. So how did these tiny glass beads get there? The answer is explosive and spectacular volcanoes. But these were not the kind of volcanoes we often see on Earth, with tall mountains and slow-moving lava. The moon's volcanoes were different. Billions of years ago, the moon was a much hotter and more active place. Deep beneath its surface, molten rock or magma churned with incredible energy. This magma was full of dissolved gases, much like the bubbles in a can of soda. This mixture was the key ingredient for a truly amazing cosmic spectacle that would shape the lunar landscape in a very unique way. When this gas-rich magma found a path to the surface, the pressure was suddenly released. The result was a massive fiery explosion. Imagine a giant fountain of lava shooting high into the black, airless sky of the moon. This is what scientists call a fire fountain. These eruptions were incredibly powerful, launching tiny droplets of molten rock far and wide. Without an atmosphere to slow them down, these droplets flew through the vacuum of space, traveling for great distances before they fell back down to the lunar surface. It must have been an incredible sight, a brilliant display of nature's power. As these droplets of liquid rock soared through the cold emptiness of space, they cooled down very quickly. This rapid cooling process is what turned them into glass instead of crystal. Think of it like making candy. If you cool the hot sugar liquid fast enough, it becomes hard and glassy. The same thing happened on the moon. Each tiny droplet froze in time, solidifying into a perfect little sphere. These newly formed glass beads then rained down, blanketing the lunar surface in a layer of orange, red, and black dust. These fire fountains were the artists that painted the grey moon with these unexpected colors. This process happened over and over again for millions of years. The moon's interior was a powerful engine driving these volcanic fireworks. The evidence of this violent past is scattered all across the lunar surface, not just where the Apollo astronauts landed. These glass beads are silent witnesses to a time when the moon was geologically alive. They tell us a story of a dynamic and changing world. A world very different from the quiet, still moon we gaze upon today. They are a direct link to the fire that once burned within our celestial companion, a reminder of its powerful and volcanic youth. When the Apollo astronauts brought these glass beads back to Earth, it was like receiving a time capsule from another world. In the 1970s, our technology was good, but it couldn't unlock all the secrets hidden inside these tiny spheres. Scientists could see their color and shape, and they could analyze their basic chemical makeup. They confirmed the beads were formed from volcanic eruptions. They also found something amazing trapped inside some of them: water. This was a huge surprise because everyone believed the moon was completely dry. It was the first hint that the moon's interior might be more complex than we thought. Decades later, our technology has become much more powerful. We now have instruments that can look at things on an incredibly small scale, even at individual atoms. Scientists took another look at the Apollo glass beads with these new tools. They could now analyze the tiny amounts of elements trapped within the glass with amazing precision. It was like going from a blurry photograph to a high-definition image. This new level of detail allowed us to ask much deeper questions about where these beads came from and what they could tell us about the moon's deep interior. Using this advanced technology, scientists confirmed the presence of water molecules locked inside the glass. They found that the magma from which the beads formed contained much more water than previously imagined, similar to some volcanic rocks here on Earth. This discovery completely changed our picture of the early moon. It suggested that the building blocks of the moon, which came from the early Earth, must have contained water. This water was not on the surface, but was part of the moon's very structure, deep within its mantle. The little beads were telling a big story about the origin of water in our corner of the solar system. Furthermore, these new studies helped us create a timeline for the moon's volcanic activity. By analyzing different types of beads from different locations, we can learn when these fire fountains were erupting. The beads act like tiny clocks, recording the history of the moon's inner heat. They show us that the moon's volcanic heart did not die out all at once. Instead, it slowly cooled over billions of years. Each bead is a snapshot of a specific moment in the moon's long and active history, a tiny piece of a grand cosmic puzzle that we are still putting together today. So why are these small orange beads so important? They are more than just a pretty souvenir from our trips to the moon. They are fundamental clues that help us narrate the epic story of the moon's life. They prove, without a doubt, that the moon was once a geologically active world. The quiet grey sphere we see in our night sky once glowed with the light of countless volcanic eruptions. These beads are physical evidence of that fiery past, a past that was hidden from us until astronauts walked on the lunar surface and noticed a splash of unexpected color beneath their boots. These tiny glass messengers also teach us about the inside of the moon. They are our only direct samples of the deep lunar mantle from billions of years ago. By studying their chemistry, we can understand what the moon is made of deep down. The discovery of water trapped within them was revolutionary. It suggests that water might be a common ingredient in the formation of rocky worlds like ours, hidden away in their interiors. This has big implications for our search for life elsewhere in the universe, as water is a key ingredient for life as we know it. The story of the orange glass beads is also a wonderful story about science and exploration. It shows how human curiosity can lead to incredible discoveries. It also shows how science builds on itself over time. The samples collected by the Apollo astronauts decades ago are still yielding new information today because our technology continues to improve. Future explorers, perhaps returning to the moon, will build on this knowledge. They will know where to look for more clues that can help us understand the history of our solar system and our own planet's formation. Ultimately, these beads are a beautiful reminder from the cosmos. They remind us that worlds can change. The moon was not always the silent, dusty place it is today. It had a vibrant, violent, and spectacular youth. Looking up at the moon, we can now imagine a time when it was lit by fountains of fire, raining tiny glass beads upon its surface. It's a testament to the dynamic and ever-changing nature of the universe. And it all started with a simple observation: a curious astronaut noticing a bit of orange in a world of grey.